Hey guys, this is me and Chris. George isn't with us today. And we're going to do our normal idea, which is Chris playing against Crazy Stone 6 Stone.
Mm-hmm.
When I do that, I win maybe under 50%. But when he does it, there's a sense of absoluteness where the computer just never has a chance. And that's I really get a lot when I watch him. So
Mm. Yeah, except last game where apparently I was losing at some point.
this is true. This is true.
That's a little bit embarrassing, but
Okay. So you're black. We're white. So why? So I always have trouble with this. Okay, on our game, I want white, which means you're black. So on Crazy Stone,
yeah, you have to be black so that it can play white.
thank you. That is so hard for me. You have no idea. Dyslexia is not an easy thing to live with. Let me tell you.
It's definitely understandable. It took my bottom right corner away from me. Violence. It has chosen violence.
Okay.
Mm.
Now I just want to clarify. In theory, A and B are unfinished corners and bigger. Playing in A or B is theoretically bigger than playing in a finished corner like C.
Mm-hmm.
We agree with this?
Yep.
Okay. So your move is saying, well, theoretically, but this is big enough and I'm building a black area rather than coming into a white area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me click resume.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Okay.
Pinch in order to build the 2 stone wall you just did. Okay. Oops.
Mm-hmm.
That's wrong. Just a second. When the computer's thinking, I have a very hard time moving my mouse. There we go. So undo that, and it's one line closer. Okay. Now we'll see his response.
Okay. The old school response. Hmm.
This makes sense as it gives you MII connect, go under or cut. So it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Strength and cut. Okay. So white played a Joseki that's cuttable, and you're in a position where cutting was working well.
Mm-hmm.
So very natural. Okay. You can help your corner or your outside stones. Okay, now that surprises me because you're using up your liberties and your corner's not doesn't seem all that prepared to fight.
Mm. The corner
So we
is
will see.
pretty fine, I think. This one first.
That gives you this move. Why would white do that?
I don't know. It seems like a small inaccuracy to me. Normally, white should Hane first and Sente with B14 and then push. I was also very
Yeah.
surprised that it pushed without Hane. And then it doesn't. This one. It's a lot of good benefit for black. White shape is kind of sad.
Right.
My dog is such a nice boy. He walks up and opens his mouth and puts his puppy breath right in my face and says hello.
There's a lot of things here. Let's just go here for a minute. So that one Sente. Is this Sente?
Yeah, if white
Seems so,
connects, I'll
right?
play
You're going to do
diagonal.
this way?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, stabilize the corner and then.
Okay. Still, everything seems fine for everybody, but black has the better fight on top. Okay. So once we're here, you're allowing white to get this in.
Sure.
And you're saying your two weak groups aren't a problem because white has too many problems.
Yep.
Okay. That sounds simple, but
Next, the thing is, it's very hard for white to push at E11. Like, even if I just extract the 3 stones, he hurts the top side, so he's eventually going to lose a move defending. And then I get to turn on the left, and the clump of stones will die. So he's got to fix the left before he can even think about coming out there.
okay.
And every
To
time he
you,
makes a
that's such
push
a
here,
simple and obvious thing. But
mm,
for a lot of players, myself included, the timing is just so much to think about.
yeah. Go one more time.
Okay. So you continued in order to just keep the wall going. Okay. And you
It's so
kind of
big.
want white's cutting stone to run out. Yeah. Okay.
White running that would be, I think, objectively better for black.
Because you only have one weak group, which is easy to handle. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Having to crawl this early on the second line like this. Oh, he's coming at it now. I see.
You sure seem like it's easy life. None of it has seemed easy to me. Still, I'm not entirely sure you're alive.
It's very similar to another kind of Joseki shape I've studied a lot. I can probably show it actually if we take control for a second.
I'm giving you control.
Yeah. So it's can come from either the Takamoku situation or it can come from the situation of a similar shape in the 3-3. But there's a pattern where you get this sort of running fight, and then
Uh-huh.
eventually black has to play this in the corner to try to create some kind of race.
Uh-huh.
Both shapes end up playing out very similar. Doesn't really make much of a difference which side you start with, or like which version of the Joseki you look at. They're all sort of more or less the same, but the corner pattern here is not dissimilar to the shape that we have going on in the top
Uh-huh.
left corner. So it's just a sort of corner position that I've seen a lot.
Okay, now let's have, so if white plays there, what do you do?
E18.
E18. We'll just go real vulgar here.
B19.
B19. Just alive. Boom, 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 boom. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Mhm.
Okay. Pretty simple. Okay. Pretty obvious and simple.
In my
Some
case,
of us.
in,
Go
in
ahead.
my case, like I said, it's just because I've studied a lot of positions that are very similar to this corner.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not. It's not like when I'm sitting here on the board, I'm actively reading everything out. I just already have a sense of the corner is going to be fine given the space that's there and the shape that I have.
Uh-huh.
But this shape is also very reminiscent of like Under the Stones to Live Sumego problems in the top left corner too.
Uh-huh.
So for those that are wondering, that's where that comes from. I'm going to ignore that though. I think this block is quite big.
1, 2, 7. So white should have to play, which makes it real big. Really?
Mm. Mm.
Black, white, black,
Mm.
white. 1, 2, 1, 2. I can't read it out. Is that alive or dead? White, black, white. 1, 2, 3. Dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can kill, and you think it's big enough. Okay.
Um, I'm just doing some quick math between empty triangle and G13.
Uh-huh.
G13 is risky. He's got J15, so I think it just has to be. This one is better. This one I don't have to calculate as hard, so I'm being a little lazy. Now that white's dead, this group only really needs liberties. Honey or jump? Which one is better? Honey. Dude. Dude. That would be a ladder and he would be dead. Right? Yeah, that would be a ladder and he would be dead. So he can't cut. So honey, extend, push, extend, jump, connect. I jump, extend, dodge. The dodge has a good follow-up. I think I like. We can maybe steal Sente with this one. I was doing a bit of a readout here between two moves. I don't know if we want to show that or not, but
Sure.
I was considering this because you have to read what happens if white cuts. In this case, white would just be dead in the ladder.
Uh-huh.
But what white's probably going to do is white's probably going to just make all the pushes. Something like this. And then try to go for the bottom. So I looked at this shape and I was thinking, do I like that shape better than I like something like this? Because if I play something like this, at least defending this way gives me a natural follow-up, like a more interesting way to play A compared to the other
white
one.
Doesn't get all the forcing moves.
Right, and so that's why I chose this one.
Nice.
Just a little bit of calculation practice for the people that might watch this video on YouTube later, you know. The cut should be fairly protected. Hane is probably locally better. I'm just avoiding complications with the extension right now. It's eager to pick a fight. This makes me feel like white is losing. It's like white keeps trying to bait the Hane so it has something to cut and fight against.
Yeah.
It would be nice if we could live the K11 group without having to capture.
Right.
Because then we don't have to lose 6 points in the semi-dory. Which is always fun. Now, normally here, white would be thinking about knight's move at M9, but knight's move might be a little bit slow. Push one more time. This push is not technically Sente. Dude. Yeah, that was expected.
Now, you could ignore that and still win the Liberty race.
Yes,
right?
I could. But I'm playing the Hane because I have a natural protection against the cut. So if white wants to give the Hane for Hane exchange, I'm okay with it. Oh, this one. Okay. This one. So opting not to take liberties.
So for viewers, we get in situations that are, how do you say it, a one-way road. And there's no real discussion. You have to play here, you have to play there. But then we get in situations like this where there's a whole lot of things that can happen. This move.
Yeah, and there's a lot that goes on under the surface with positions like this because it's not as simple as just like fixing your own weaknesses a lot of the time or like cutting your opponents. Like you have to really think about how to use the opponent's weaknesses to defend efficiently. You want to play Kikashi, not Ajikeshi moves if you can help it. We don't want to make too many bad exchanges.
So if this move is meant to clarify, yes, I have all the liberties I need, feels a little slow. If you're saying I'm doing that and taking profit on top, sort of, okay. But how much Aji are you using on the H17 stone? I mean, I'm not saying this well. What's up with B? That's the question.
Yeah, there's a relationship here with the A and B.
Sure looks like you can't cut there.
It depends on what you're intending to use the cut for. If you're trying to sacrifice the A stone a second time, then it's quite valuable. You can attach when white blocks, you can Hane at L17. It's going to force white to play again another move, and then black seals off the top side.
So the sacrifice stone has given you profit on top.
Yep, and then K18 is another really big end game that you get. And then if white doesn't play the reverse Sente, you get another really big end game on the first line after that because that stone exists.
More and more and more. Yeah. In this whole situation, how much time have you spent looking at this sort of thing?
A little bit. I wouldn't say too much because I never really had the thought of I'm going to try to run the stone out or bring the stone out in any way. I was always thinking about how to sacrifice it better. So it was mostly just considering how can I use the Aji of the Knight's move to make sure white can't exploit my shape. Like I look at H17 more as a defensive resource than a.
I tend to get caught up in aggression.
Mm,
Oh, I'm going to cut and kill him. I mean, I just can't get it out of my mind sometimes. And you're like, no, just stay calm. Just no
mhm.
reason to just stay calm.
Yeah.
Okay. So resume play.
Mhm.
We play here.
Yeah. Oh, how aggressive right away, huh? Mm. I shouldn't be surprised. It's the most practical defense that white had. Mm. And then the vulgar cut. Mm. Mm. There's another popular Go teacher. His name is In Seong Hwang. He's
Uh-huh.
a Korean former Youngaseng who teaches a lot of really strong players in Europe and North America. He would
Yeah.
call this little situation that's happening here boss style Go. And so I'll try to explain what that means because it's fun, I think, to give a name to these things, if I may have control for a moment.
Oh, yes, you may.
Um, so obviously, like in this local shape, this move is pretty attractive for black in the sense of we turn, we get out, we connect our middle group towards the corner. You know, for like Q player, low don player, this move would be fine, right? It's just nice, it settles everything. We can get to the big place. But boss style Go says, you know what? I would really like to play A. I'm gonna make white make me play A with Sente. And lo and behold, we get the game variation. With
I
these two
see.
exchanges, as white is going after this cutting point and busying himself with affairs on the top side, black has managed to sneak this N13 turn in with tempo.
I see.
So there's a sense that black has gained a benefit in this variation compared to just turning.
And what about the idea of saying this is turned into white's profit because white can kill some stones there?
Sure. White can take the small profit and Gote, but black gets to get the turn that helps fix his only weakness, and then black gets to play in the bigger place first.
Okay, cool.
You know how it is in the corporate world, right? The CEO makes all the money and he pays the scraps to the small employees. That's basically what's happening here. Mm.
And then black's move. So even though white's getting some profit, it's not big and there's tons of Aji.
Yeah, I'm considering if I even want to double Hane now. It would be like kind of salt in the wound type of a move. But ultimately, there are other big places. We'll just extend.
Pretty darn big.
Yeah. Right now, it's locally in the shape, black would normally extend to 013 to finish bringing those stones out. But the problem for white is that it's actually hard for white to Hane. Black can just turn, and if white pushes, black's cut is Atari. So
Right.
the two stone exchanges at the top seem to be helping a lot. Although the AI does not seem to believe me. Um, hmm. And White's 4 stones are really close to having a liberty shortage of their own.
Yeah.
Mm. Oh.
Well, that's pretty much it then. You killed the group and took the huge corner. You have no dangers
Mm.
and other points too. White's got nothing or
Yeah,
very
White's
little.
getting close to very little of nothing. I'm looking at the timing for E18 soon.
The 18 kind of Aji in
Hmm.
that stone on the top.
Yeah, Black should
I mean, a lot.
yeah, Black should be able to make something happen. Oh, this one. Hmm. I wasn't expecting White to actually answer this. I was expecting White to attach on the outside. That would make more sense.
Yeah.
Hmm. But I guess this way White can take Sente. Maybe it's worth less points, but White can take Sente, so it's probably fine. Hmm.
We'll give it a few more moves.
I want to see how White tries to. Oh, never mind. White's not going to try to clean up the Aji. Okay. Strike while the iron is hot or something. So it seems like White's going to think between connect or diagonal, like F17 or some D17 move. Or I guess E17. That's fine too. Can I make anything happen here? Now your move around J16 is beginning to look severe. The problem with this empty
Yeah.
triangle locally is that it creates liberty shortages with a clump of white in the corner. And White seems to be aware of this. Now, the question is, if white connects, do I defend outside or g18? G18 looks tempting.
So here you're saying you're either going to connect under on top or do something in the center. So that's pretty much a commitment. Yep. And if he disconnects you, you have to make something work. And it looks like it's just a done deal.
Yeah, J17 and then K18 will be alive. So, but clamp instead of cut surprises me. I'll just connect back to the corner, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
I think so once the corner is connected through, it's pretty over.
Yeah. Okay.
Pretty damn over.
So let me give you control and give us a review of the high points, I guess. Because it was just in my head, I'm thinking, well, when did it happen? When did it become so easy for black? Is it white's Joseki choice here?
Yeah, I think so. Normally in like modern Go, this move doesn't come these days. You would either see like small knight or you would see the attachment in the corners, probably the most common. You would see something like this. And then white would make a choice. White could Atari at A, or white could like cut at B, right? Or jump at C. These would be sort of the most common ideas. Like this one, you force black down. This one, you force black down, jump to center, this type of thing. Play very light, get a good outside, give up the 2 stones. If white doesn't want to give up the corner, white can cut and then push and then capture. This one is going to be finishing the stones on the outside. Then black can kill or block with a turn, do whatever black wants. Or white can start by playing C and see what black wants to do with the corner versus the outside. So these are like, usually when I review with Katago, these are the ones that are most commonly suggested to me in shapes like this. But this one almost never comes. This one becomes a very difficult move to answer. Usually white's going to answer with this one. And then if black pushes, white's going to extend. This would be the sort of common idea. But it's a little bit good feeling for black because we haven't exchanged A for B yet. So this stone hasn't taken any, I don't want to call it damage, but it's like there's less pressure on the pincer stone than there normally would be if this shape were like this already, right?
Yeah.
So then black can do something like, for example, here or here to negate the wall. So maybe it didn't like this idea. Although this one tends to be okay for black because white can shrink the corner down and take the cente. Then later, white can jump to the center with this move, and it's actually fine. But maybe it didn't like that, so it started a fighting variation, this one where black is cutting on the outside. And so one of the things I sort of tell my students, inside cuts are very often sacrificial and outside cuts are usually fighting related. So this one is starting a fight, but white is behind a move. Black has the 1 stone advantage, so it should be a good fight for black in theory anyway. Here I was expecting white to extend, actually, and then see how black wants to answer, if black is going to defend the corner with A or B and go from there. But it chose to play this one, which gives me a choice. I can like come out somewhere around A or B myself. I can push, I can hane, I can settle. It's like, I'm not really sure what to do, but I'm thinking I want to make the most use of the pincer stone. So if I can keep the outside relatively strong, then that stone is going to still be useful. So I went for the push and cut. Here, like we discussed earlier, it should make the 1 exchange at least before pushing. It can do that, or it can connect and give up like that and then push. When it doesn't, I think it's already bad for white to allow this.
Yeah.
I would say black, Winning is probably too strong of a term, but black probably has the advantage now. White's shape is really bad, and every time white has to make a push like this, it's very painful for the prospects of continuing with A in the center. Because you can't really run out A without damaging B, so it's like, how much Aji is there with A, really? This we talked about is just very similar to other shapes in the corner, sort of under the stones type life and death. White played the pincer, which is probably fine. Maybe white could have tried something like this to sacrifice that stone a little more directly with forcing moves on the outside to make himself stronger. Black shouldn't rush to save A. You don't actually have to save that stone. It's okay to play the bigger place. Really, the choice is between saving or killing. I think killing is slightly bigger. So, yeah.
Okay, good.
And then I think the only other like real thing was maybe this was probably an overplay. I don't think white should try to cut the 2-space extension. Very, very often when you play this type of move as black, you play it because the cut is there, you know the cut is there, and you want white to play the cut. Because you're going to either sacrifice the B stone to try to get something stronger, like we did to get the turn, or you're going to be able to have a good fight if they cut because it's an overplay. So I think white cutting here was probably a bit reckless. It's probably more accurate for white to play Atari or something here in the bottom left corner first. It's quite big. Because when white ends up losing the Sente here and black gets to extend, it's very difficult to see where white's going to make up the territory. Especially because this Hane doesn't work. You can't really give this up because after the capture, black is just going to be alive. It's like there's not really much you can do to stop life here. So the Hane just doesn't work. And then here I thought white's plan was going to be to take Sente to go back and try to force something like this to help clean up his Aji a little bit. I don't have a direct invasion into A. I have a reduction from B. And I have some outside reductions around C and D. But I can't like jump right into the A area and expect to have the easiest life. So I think defending A was a little too slow. Q players make this type of mistake all the time. They see the big Moyo and they play the move in Gote and they're like, my Moyo is so big, and then they lose all their real territory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, thank you, Chris. Very helpful as always.
This game was more straightforward than the last one.
Okay, everybody, thanks for watching. And we'll catch you all later.
Happy Easter, everyone. Bye.